why was I working? And at that point, I was working 24/7. I was possessed to save the employees' jobs. I belonged to a national buying group. I was possessed to save their jobs. I started working on other people's companies to save their jobs. And I wasn't being paid. I was working for free. And why? Well, I figured it out. Save a job and save a life.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Den. I have Keith Baldwin, CRO of Spikes Trophies, majority owner. We're going to talk today about the Den, about his new book, A Leap Year First, about getting through the pandemic, about hiring convicted felons. I mean, you name it, politics, COVID, we're going to talk about it, lay it all on the line. So, Keith, why don't you tell everybody who you are, and thank you so much for being on the Den, brother.
Thanks, Lance. I'm the Chief Relationship Officer of Spikes Trophies and majority partner. My job is relationships with my employees, the vendors, and my customers. Been in the business for over 45 years. The business is close to 90 years old. So first, can I start this off by presenting you a signed copy of my first book?
Thank you, my friend.
So it's a leap year of firsts. And last year I started 2020, committed to doing something for the first time in my life every day. And I also, first time in my life, I did a daily journal to log the firsts. And then the pandemic showed up in the middle of my leap year of firsts, which was a typical bucket list type of thing. And it kind of takes you through a journey of a small business person's journey through the pandemic, who happened to be on the wrong side of it. If you think about my business, it is tied to the event business. There were no events. And we make our money, we're a seasonal business, in the second quarter. Well, there was no second quarter. We should be out of business. So I take you through that journey. But first, I want to present, and I wrote Lance a signed copy.
Thank you.
Lance, and I want to read this to you.
Okay.
Thank you for being a part of my year of firsts. On April 7th, you provided my first interview on a podcast in the Lion's Den. On June 27th, I posted my first and last opinion on social media in response to your question, mask or no mask. Oh my God. I can't wait to read your upcoming first book. Knowing your story, it is a bestseller. We are both blessed to come from where we started to where we are. Forever grateful. With much love, Keith.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that so much, man. I really do. Thank you. So I appreciate that. I'm going to read it. I'm excited to read it, actually. So let's talk about that. Like, did you get diagnosed being sick that made you write the book to go say, I want to go try? No, I'm asking, like, did something had to make you say?
You know what's funny? My sister asked me that question. She says, are you dying?
Well, that's what you would think. Like, when someone says, I want to do a bucket list or I want to do this type of thing, like, what was your reason why? Like, tell me how it comes about.
So I was at my job is to build relationships. So I was at a human resource event in South Jersey as a guest, and trying to figure out if this organization would be good for me to join, and if it would be worth my time. And just so happened the speaker that morning was Luann Kahn. She is a award-winning journalist, and she wrote a book, I Dare Me, and she's a cancer survivor. So she did, so this is not, I'm not the smartest guy, I'm not the most original, I stole the idea.
Yeah.
And she had done that. And that morning, she hit me, it affected me. And she made us write down a goal. What do you want to do? And I wanted to fly a plane. I wrote it down, tell the person next to you, commit it, raise your hand, anybody want to share? I was one of the guys that got up and said, fly a plane. And, when you do that kind of stuff, you half-hearted, you're high of the morning.
Yeah.
And I committed to it. And then after I stuck around, got a signed copy of the book, and I told her, I'm going to do a year first. Half-hearted, thinking that I'd do it. Once you walk out the door and everyday life punches you in the mouth, you don't know if you're going to be able to maintain that.
100%.
So that's where the idea came from. From that morning, December 5th, 2019. And I started that morning, started to think of a bunch of things that I've never done, that I've wanted to do or I was curious about. So that's where the list came from. That's start of the journey.
If you like this content and you're trying to grow your business, follow me at Lance Bachman and Lance Bachman Digital on Facebook. LFG, time to grow. So let's go through this. You start the book.
Yep.
And you stick with it.
Yep.
The pandemic hits.
Yep.
Midway through the book, starting the book.
So
at the end of the book, because I don't know how you go through the pandemic in your business, because you were in, trophies, all of this.
It's tied to events.
Events. So if you don't have events going on, if you don't have T-ball going, like
the business evaporated in a second.
So, talk to me about that. What part of the book? What stage? What chapter?
So I first started to realize that we were in trouble. I was sitting on my couch March 11th, and I was watching the Sixers game. And across the bottom, it scrolled, the NBA season has been suspended. I knew at that moment. I texted my partners and said, we're in trouble. And it progressed from there. So
quick. 6-7 days from there.
So a few days later, first time in my life, I worried about the future of my business. I've been there for 45 years. It's a 90-year-old company. Never thought, I'm worried about making payroll, that kind of thing. So I first time in my life, I was worried. The day after, first time in my life, I stopped paying myself, working for free. Thinking that, okay, it would help for a month or so. That continued for many more months throughout the year. And then on March 20th at 2:30, the day before, the governor had basically made us a non-essential business. He didn't have to tell me that. I knew we were non-essential because of all our customers canceling the orders. And that day, I knew that I was going to do something for the first time in my life, lay off an employee. And I had to lay them all off. And I woke up and I was crying in my shower that morning because I knew that I was going to do something that, an unwanted first, but it was a first. So we couldn't even tell them in person because the 2 days before, we had to shut the company down because early on in the pandemic, if you had exposure or possible exposure. So we were in that situation. So we called them up, and I think they already knew and said that we're laying you off. And I don't know if there's going to be a company for you to come back to. At 3:27, less than an hour later, again, I believe in honest communications during the situation, and I called my bank and told them, and they were very nice. And they offered me loans to keep me afloat, and I said, I can't take any loans because I didn't know that I'd be able to pay them back, and I could not do that to them.
Correct.
So they knew that we were going to leave all our employees go. They happened to have a company, one of their customers, which was a call center, just got awarded the contract for the state of New York to make COVID test calls. And when the body bags were building up in New York and they needed to fill seats immediately, I got that call. And 2 hours after I laid them all off, I offered them their jobs back, and we became a call center for a year. And we migrated. Once we got that job done, we ended up making calls for the state of California, taking unemployment calls, and New York. And it's not the trophy business. We had an actual suicide on the call. Did everything right. Person lost his job, lost his house, calling from his car, had nothing left, and was trying to get connected to his benefits and had had enough. We had the police on the way. We had 3 supervisors on the call, and he took his life. So my why, I discovered after March 20th, it was about 2 weeks later, I woke up on a Saturday morning. I get up early, and it was like 4:30 in the morning, and I kept a little pad next to my desk, and I would write the ideas for the solutions for that day, because there was many challenges, if you can imagine. And that pad was not good enough. I got in my car. I had to get to my office this Saturday morning, and I was on 95. Speed limit's 55, and I know this because one of my first was driving the speed limit to work in January, which I will never do again. It's not healthy. It's not safe. But I look down, and I know what an adrenaline rush feels like now. And I was going 150 miles an hour and I'm not proud of it, on 95. I had to get to my office because I had a big Post-it note in my easel where it became my thought process. I'd write the ideas and I have them around my office. And I came into my office and I wrote my why, save a job. Why was I working? And at that point, I was working 24/7. I was possessed to save the employees' jobs. I belonged to a national buying group. I was possessed to save their jobs. I started working on other people's companies to save their jobs. And I wasn't being paid. I was working for free. And why? Well, I figured it out. Save a job and save a life. And a job gives people purpose. It gives them a direction. It gives them money. It gives them a way of life.
It gives them pride, I tell people.
It gives them pride. Lion's pride. It gives them pride. So that became my why. That became a theme. I'm doing talks now. God, first time I ever hired a speech coach. I'm normally a very shy guy. I'm in front of people giving speeches about what I learned during the year based on the book. So
this is what most people don't realize is, when you own a small business, like I own a small business, right? Even though I have multiple ones, but they're all still, it's not AT&T where I was the vice president. These are 100-man companies, 60-man companies, right? I think you guys are about 40.
45.
Right? You become close to people.
They're your family.
So laying people, and I don't think the employees understand the stress. I don't think most people understand, because the average company has 3 to 5 employees. You know that, right? Small business. So they're very small. When you start getting those 40 to 100, you're going to be close to probably about 20% of your employees, very close, because you need those 20% to help.
Well, first of all, some of them have been with me for 40 years, 25 years. I think the minimum service is like 5 years. I know them. I was them. I am them. I love them.
You've seen their kids grow up. You've seen them get married. So
yes,
when you're going to lay people off, it sickens your stomach.
I was inconsolable.
But I don't think the viewers understand. I think when people talk about leader, that's what true leadership means. Is you can't, when that all happened, we lost, and you know this, we lost 50% of our company.
Yep.
Literally, it was Sunday night. That announcement came out, whatever, from the governor. We're shutting down.
Yep.
Literally 2 weeks later, Joe Lynn, for the first time ever, said, we're going to fucking survive this, pretty much. And I was like, we're going to be fine. And we're not laying anyone off. And we'll get through this. I didn't expect it still to be here lingering today, but that's the conversation we can have. But
who would ever thought that?
Yeah, but employees have to understand, and people have to understand, they work their way up. They stay with the company, these smaller companies. They're going to have a lot of loyalty on these corporate companies that will just, corporations don't care.
No, you're a number.
You're out. Can you talk to me about, you're going through this, you're writing this book, your head's spinning, are you guys okay now? Because, you've been my client for what, 12 years now?
I'm sorry?
You've been my client for what, 12 years now?
How long have you had the company?
It'll be 13 years.
Yeah, it was in your first year. Yeah.
And we've grown a relationship.
Yep.
I've seen you guys grow. You've seen me grow.
A little bit more than me.
No, that's not true. But are you guys growing again? Are you back? Is it kind of like, are you guys feeling good? Because I can tell you're in a healthy spot. You're in a very healthy spot.
Yes. By some miracle, we're in better shape coming out of it than we were going in. And the expression, you create your own luck, or the other expression that I've used, the quote, quite honestly, is in chaos, there's opportunity. Mm-hmm. So in the chaos that was happening, we found opportunity. And the opportunity became PPE sales. First time in our life, we've never had $1 million sale. We had multiple ones last year. We sold sneeze guards to school districts. I have $1 million purchase order from a school district for sneeze guards. We became part of the supply chain for the state for medical gloves for doing the vaccinations. We were able to connect the dots when others weren't. That could be another book. The supply chain, the sleepless nights. I signed a temporary line of credit to fund the gloves that was worth double my company's worth. And if something happened with that, and there was many things happening, there was companies that were taking that deposit and going away and just never to be seen again and just pocketing the money and gone, ghosting you. There was companies that were taking that and shipping you sand or toilet paper or filling the containers with stuff and disappearing. There was containers falling off ships. If you could get them on a ship. I left 7 containers on the dock in Bangkok because there was too many red flags. That was unbelievable. And there was a lot of bad actors.
Yes.
Tremendous. And we just happened to be a good actor who did what they said they were going to do and delivered. And we were very fortunate, and out of that, we came out of it okay.
All right, so I want the 5 coolest things that you did for the first time, in your opinion.
Coolest. Well, the thing that I stood up in front of the group in flying a plane was probably number 1. I flew it. I landed it. I was scared to death.
You should be.
I raced a car, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, a Porsche. I don't know how they do it for 500 miles.
Do you want to die?
No. Love life.
Okay.
Love life.
Okay.
Cool. As my wife would question my sanity. Not the safest thing in the world, but I wanted to understand what it was like to be homeless without a job. So I slept on the streets of Philadelphia, December 5th, 2020, on 6th Street between Callawhill and Spring Garden. No, Callawhill and Ray Street. There was mini tent cities. I don't know how people survive like that. I struggled with one night. And then that's 4. 5th would be I attended a number of religious services because I wanted to understand the various religions. I was supposed to go to Jerusalem. It got canceled because of COVID. And that's where a lot of the religions started. So I wanted to understand religions. I would listen to podcasts on the religion before I went to understand. And then I would go. I went to a mosque. I went to a Mormon service. I went to a, I just drew a blank. I'm sorry. Jehovah's Witness. And then the pandemic hit, and I couldn't get to the rest of the services, so that they're still on my bucket list. So they're the 5, probably, off the top of my head.
A lot of this sounds like you're trying to become well-rounded, like just understand a lot of different things. I mean, I don't know about flying the plane and racing the car, but the religious stuff, some of the other things, like that sounds cool to me just to go see. I mean, I wouldn't want to race a car, drive a plane. That's just not for me. But
I typed, in part of the book, it says learning. I learned a lot of different ways to learn. I typed how to into YouTube so many times because if you've never done something, how do you do it? How do you tie a bow tie? It was one of my first. It took me forever. Either I was terribly uncoordinated or I didn't know. My wife laughed her ass off. First time in my life I ever acted like a blind person for a night. I taped my eyes shut and tried to get around to appreciate sight. So yeah, I wanted to understand and live life.
So, what I think is interesting is you're not in this for the money. I know you well enough.
No,
but
I'm not making any money off it.
You're probably losing money. So that's just it. But
that's not the point.
The cool part for you is this, and this is where, like, I respect a man like you, right? Because when you met me, you knew I left AT&T.
Yep.
You knew exactly where I was from back in the day when I got in trouble and everything else. But you didn't flinch. You're like, I'm going with you, Lance. I know you're good at what you do. And that's when it isn't now when people are like, oh, Lance got in trouble when he's younger, no big deal, it's okay. You were with me when
you were nobody.
Nobody. Not that I'm somebody now. I'm still a nobody. But I think I proven.
You're a little bit more of a nobody.
I think I've proven it's not even close to what I was 30 years ago.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
that's why I can't wait to read your book.
But the Bakerfield project. Let's talk about that. Do you mind?
No,
because
it's Baker Industries.
Baker Industries. So let's talk about the Baker Industry project.
So part of the proceeds of the book is going to Baker Industries, and it ties into my why, which is to save a job and save a life. And Baker Industries takes returning citizens. By that's the term for people coming out of the prison systems, the returning into society. And you can't imagine. So let's just say the one girl that I have that came out, I've got a few employees from Baker. She was in...
Well, let's not identify her because I don't want to put her out there, her business.
Okay.
Because she might not want... She might not want...
Well, let's just say anybody.
Anybody. Okay.
You're away for 5 years? Mm-hmm. Think about that. You're disconnected from society, technology. You don't have a home. You don't have a car. Nobody wants to hire you because you got a record. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now you're supposed to come back. Here's a few bucks. Go hit the street and go figure it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's easy to do, isn't it? So they take that person and through piecework, teach them how to work again. And then teach them how to get back into society. And then start to make connections. And they filter the people that want the chance. And give me somebody who wants to work, and I'll teach them anything.
No doubt. Will versus skill. I tell people that all the time.
Absolutely.
Will versus skill. You know, the reason it's so important people understand this is, and I say this to everyone, is just because you make a mistake, it's not a lifelong sentence. Now, your haters will try and make it a lifelong sentence
Absolutely.
for you. Your haters, listen, you rise from the ashes, you can't take the ash with you because they are going to try and bring you down. And I said to everyone, people were like, you just forget where you... No, I didn't forget where I came from. I know where I came from. I'm the one that lived the fucking life. I know where I came from. I'm not going back to it.
Yep.
So, and
if I can help somebody along the way...
Why not? And a lot of people are good. I say this to people all the time. There's good in everyone.
Yep, I agree with that.
It's a matter, are you going to be the one to help them find the good and make them feel good about themselves and want to go? Or are you going to be the person that looks at them and say, you're just a piece of shit, to make them feel like a piece of shit? And that's where I don't agree with, and I truly believe this, the justice system is the biggest criminal system. And I've said that to Larry Krasner, as you know. I've said to people that ran against him. I've said it to I'll say it to any politician out there. The criminal system is the justice system is the biggest criminal system. I'll say it again. It costs you more to keep someone incarcerated in prison than to send to college. It tells you more to keep someone incarcerated in prison than put them in trade school. Why is the prisons just having people sit around all damn day and not teaching them a trade?
Yeah.
Right? Make them go and learn a trade. Yep. Everyone, people can say what they want about Glen Mills, right? I know it ended on a bad note because they let things get out of hand. They abused kids. I was one of the abused kids there for 2 years, right?
You went there?
For 2 years.
I did not know that.
I did. I was there for 2 years.
I just talked to the football coach that's been there forever. You probably know.
I didn't play football.
Okay.
But I was there for 2 full years, right, at Glen Mills. And I got the shit kicked out of me there. I did. But the one thing they did, I couldn't read prior to going to Glen Mills and do math. They forced me to, a guy, Ricky Mahoney, still to today. I know his name. I respect the shit out of him. This guy, he literally was the wrestling coach there. He made me a promise. You will know how to read and write before you leave here, and you will have a GED. And he did. And that propelled my own...
You probably owe him a lot.
How insecure are you if you can't read or write? And so I went there when I was in 9th grade, right? So how insecure are you in 9th grade when you're sitting in class and all your buddies can read, write, this, that, and the teacher's just walking by you, handing you a book to read or a newspaper. And it's easier for them to appease you than to confront you, right?
Yep.
But why is this system not geared like Glen Mills, minus the abuse? Because they make everyone play a sport. Everyone has to think about this. And I'm not a creative guy, as you know. I'm more numbers, data.
You're pretty creative.
I was literally learning auto body. I'm not handy. And photo. Like, they forced you to do it. So, but you were forced to I actually ran track there. And I'm the slowest guy you've ever met. Right? So, the prison systems should be geared like that. You're going to take...
But you experience different things.
I know, but the prison system, you're doing 5 years in prison, right?
Yep.
It's great to let you read a book. But you're only going to read so much, and a book will only teach you so much. But now you take these prison systems and you build roofing training schools, HVAC training schools, plumbing training schools. All of a sudden, you got a real
Now think about that. So I come out of there.
But they don't want you to. They want you to come back because if you don't go back to prison, they got to lay prison guards off. If you don't go back to prison, you got to lay nurses off. If you don't go back to prison, they got to shut prisons down. Over 50% of prisons are privately held or contracted.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Over 50% of prisons are privately held by corporations.
Really?
And your job as a CEO, Keith, you have one job as a CEO of your organization. What is that? What's your number one job?
Repeat sales. Repetitive sales, yeah.
Lifelong value of a customer.
Yep.
Lifelong value of a customer. Why is the system any different?
That's interesting.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So I have a major problem with just the system in general.
Yeah, so imagine teaching somebody and then having a relationship with a company, an HVAC company, if that's where they're... I'm looking for good people. Every company needs good people to grow. You give me somebody that comes to me and they're somewhat trained and they want to learn or they want to grow with a company and they have some skills, I'll hire them.
This is the thing, right? And I said this to everyone. So someone said to me, someone told my 30-year-old son, man, your dad and his uncle, they're really tough kids. They had a lot of fights. First of all, almost, not the new generation, but almost everyone that's almost 50, almost every man out there was in some type of fist fight or altercation from Northeast Philly, Levittown, but they just were, right?
Yep.
It's a matter of, did you get in trouble or not for it?
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the new generation, whatever it is, this new thing is like they want people to fail. I don't understand it. They don't want people to have success. These Baker projects, this Baker program, we need more of them out there helping people, or you're just going to have the same fail rate. And we got to educate leaders in business. I truly believe that it's okay to hire someone with a record as long as they're a good person, they're clean. You can set boundaries up and say, listen, I'm giving you a chance, but you're on a short leash.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully give them some support, places to go, people to talk to, because it's a tough road to navigate. Very tough road.
Well, you gotta align yourself. I hate to say this, right? Think about why the majority of people are probably in prison. They probably have alcohol or drug addiction, right? Right, that's the majority.
Or they were selling drugs or whatever.
But even if you're selling, I'm not saying all drug dealers are selling drugs or doing drugs, but I'm going to assume that most of the people that are selling drugs have a drug addiction, right? I mean, what good person just wants to wake up and sell drugs? Or I've always used the equation, the example.
Money.
No, I always use the example of prostitutes, right? I think it's so crazy we arrest people for prostitution. Do you think she or he truly wants to be a prostitute?
No.
I mean, do you think that was their lifelong vision as a kid? But now
survival.
Correct. So now you're arresting people for survival. Mm-hmm. I don't think you should be arrested for injecting yourself with heroin. I think you should be forced into a rehab. Makes sense? Taking people to prison is not the answer. That's just me. And people say you're too liberal, but I think you know me. I'm not a liberal person.
Yeah, I know that.
So I mean, but I'm very liberal when it comes to people with problems.
Well, you've experienced it. You've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but I've been on both sides.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Right, so I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
So I've experienced, and I see this side. And, like, it's funny, like, some people will be like, well, you came from the mud. Well, I'm glad I came from the mud. I'm proud of that.
So
you might not like that I came from the mud, but that's your problem. Right? Like, that's your problem, not mine. Because I'm proud of who I am when I walk. I think you know I'm one of the most confident men I walk in any room. I don't even think twice. It's just like, you know, it's not a prison sentence for something you did 20, 30, 15, 10 years ago. You handled it. Now it's time to move on. And I'm going to tell every business owner out there.
It's a prison sentence if you don't change.
If you don't change and if you let other people hold it against you.
Yes.
Because people will. People are constantly going to do it. They're constantly, did you know this? Did you know this? Oh, I can tell you this.
Well,
everybody has skeletons in their closet.
To write a book, you've got to be vulnerable. I was vulnerable. I talked about, in 6th grade, I was drinking and selling drugs.
It's part of who you are.
It's where I came from.
Yeah.
I was born at 6th in Indiana. It's the Badlands. It's a drug corner.
Yeah. I mean, we know now it was wrong what you were doing, but it shouldn't be held against you now that you were doing that in 6th grade.
I learned from it.
But somebody will try to hold that against you. Just people are crazy, man. People are so unhappy with their own lives, they got to look at you in a negative way to make themselves feel better. I truly believe that's it. And with social media today, which we'll talk about that.
That's why I don't get involved. Any social media that I post is positive and it's apolitical. I spend, as I get older, I spend my Thursdays with my grandson. It's called Thursdays with Luke. It's going to be my next book. It's, if you ever read Tuesdays with Maury by Mike Album, it was Tuesdays with his grandfather as he was dying. Well, this is going to be Thursday with my grandson Luke, and it's tied into the first time seeing the world through his eyes. And by a reformed workaholic, me. If you would have told me I was going to take off Thursdays and spend the whole day with my grandson, are you crazy? and I post 20-second videos. He's got the best laugh in the world. And I have requests now when I don't post quick enough on Tuesdays, or if, my day gets drug out because I'm catching up on work after I get done with him. It's like, where's my post of Thursdays with Luke? And it brings joy. They thank me because it puts a smile on their face. It gives them joy. And isn't that what life is supposed to be about?
It's very unhealthy where people are going this day and age. And I don't think, I see some of the business owners, and we'll talk about that, is we own businesses, I own multiple companies, you own Spikes,
Yep.
Nice size company. We're responsible for a lot of people's lives.
Yep.
Our actions, and especially some of the things you post on social media, is a reflection of all your organizations.
Yep.
And some leaders don't understand that. When I see them going either way on politics, right, like Trump or Biden, right, well, you're pissing off 50% of Americans.
50%.
So, I mean, what advice would you give to any leader about even doing that kind of stuff? You don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say. Because it's so, because I don't understand. I guess it comes down to united we stand, divided we fall. And I don't understand the division. And why wouldn't we want to come to a solution? Okay, I may not agree with you. You may not agree with me, and that's okay. But there's got to be some common ground where we can both benefit. One of my core values, which is one of the ways I survived, is a win-win. I'm looking to create a win-win situation. I want you to win while I'm winning.
Because you're successful.
So how can we both do that? Not, I want you to, and I'll curse because I just heard you curse.
Yeah. I don't worry about that.
I want you to fucking die and lose so I can win. Okay, I just don't understand it.
It's a serious issue. You know, I want to ask you a few rapid questions because I know I've in a lot of your time. This is a digital marketing show, also a business show, right? Tell me how digital marketing has impacted your organization.
In the book, I'll give you a great example. First time in my life, we were shut down by Facebook, our business page. You know this because you helped me get back. It took us a month and a half. And it was a time when our showrooms were shut down. We weren't able to communicate a normal way by having people come in. So our only view to the world was our social media. And when it was taken away, oh my God, it really hurt the company. And it just showed the value of it. By not having that visibility, the voice, to amplify what you're talking about. At the time, it was masks. At very early stages
Correct.
of the masks.
I remember you calling me. You emailed me, said, "Can you talk?" And you never do that to me.
I never. But I was
like,
desperate.
And then I remember I had to get involved with Facebook and CJ. I know Kairos was all involved, and then I think we had it up a few days after me and you talked.
Yes,
but
you solved it. But I think getting an audience with the Pope was easier. Than
Facebook and Google doesn't care. I tell everybody that they don't care. They don't care.
First time in my life, I posted on Mark Zuckerberg's page just to try to get to somebody. Yeah. I know it didn't matter, but I needed a first that day, so that's what I did.
I mean, and we're a premier Facebook company, and
I know.
Thank God we got that. I read all about that. Tell me, I'm going to ask you some questions here. You've been with us for 12 years.
Yes.
How has One SEO impacted you guys the most?
Well, first of all, you do all our social media. You help me with content. You help us with our rankings. You get us eyeballs. And people don't find us without your help, especially in today's world. I mean, not to show you how old I am. Back in the Yellow Pages days, that's how you found you.
No doubt.
Well, now it's Google, and I'm looking for an award. I'm looking for something engraved, and well, then if I'm on the 4th, 5th page, I'm never going to get your call. You're never going to find me. So that's what you help me do. You help me get eyeballs. You help people find me.
So
you give me opportunity.
On the final rule, we're going to ask you this question. We started this conversation today when we first met each other. We were just talking about some of the things that had going on.
Yep.
And I said some of the things I've been working on over the last 2 years, 3 years, really has been controlling how I talk to employees across the board, my partner, whatever it may be. Just what would you say to a leader out there right now? Because you said, Lance, I've been where you are. I've been where you're doing. You're like, I'm a little older than you now, so can you give someone advice about, hey, listen, your words matter to employees, how you react to everything? Because I think that's a lot of things leaders don't realize. Your passion can come out the wrong way. You can actually hurt people.
Yes. First, be yourself and be real. People will sniff out insincerity in a second. For me, it's core values. I care. I talked about win-win. Respect. Have respect for the people. I expect to get respect, and I give respect. So it's those core values. One is fun. One is learn. One is lean. In other words, smarter, not harder. Continually growing. Constant improvement. So it's just to be yourself and adopt those core values, whatever they are for you and your organization, and live them. And be sincere about them.
Everyone, Keith from Spikes, great guy. Grab his book. I promise you, it will be a good read. Self-made from Northeast Philly originally. Proud to call you my friend, Keith. Thank you for everything.
Thanks.